I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Just a word to note, I had some more laser surgery done on my retina this week. I tore it a couple weeks ago and I had it done last week. So if I put these sunglasses on, I'm not sleeping. I'm not sleeping up here. Sorry. Can I ask you to please remain standing for a minute? A moment of silence for retired teacher Lisa Zakutis and Jay Asper, who passed away recently. Okay, thank you. That's the recording secretary for a roll call.
Wanda Kay?
Here.
Brian Carson.
Here.
Jessica Decker.
Here.
Corey Holman.
Here.
Sam Lutfi.
Here.
Jack O'Leary.
Here.
Felicia Sheehan.
Here.
Rosemary Walsh.
Here.
And John Legreski.
We have a volunteer to read the mission statement.
I will. Delaware Valley School District, in partnership with our community, stands committed to maximizing student potential, fostering lifelong learning, and promoting responsible citizenship.
Thanks, Dan. We have a motion to adopt the agenda. So move.
Second.
Is there any discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Hearing no objection, the motion carries. We'll move on to presentations, and looks like we have two today, so I'll turn it over to Dr. Bell.
Okay, thank you. Yes, the first presentation is about the Special Olympics winter session.
Sure. Tonight we have Lynette Poosley and Erica Adams, two of our high school special education teachers, and they are here with two of our Special Olympics skiing athletes. You guys want to come up?
Hi, I'm MTS Jahangir, and I'm a participant in the Special Olympics snowshoeing competition.
Hi, my name is Michael Rogers. I'm a participant in the Special Olympics skiing event.
The opening ceremony. The opening ceremony was one of the biggest highlights of the trip. All of the competing teams paraded into the Olympic Village, and we were received with a standing ovation from community members, police officers, firemen, and family members. They played music for us, had a firework display, and lit the official Olympic torch. And that's a picture of the participants.
Skiing was one of the most popular sports in the Special Olympics. As I said earlier, I am a skier myself, and the skiing, which Alpine, which consists of Slalom, Giant Slalom, and Super G. All of the Delaware Valley participants that were in the Alpine skiing event all participated in the intermediate level. Even though the weather was not the best. Sorry. Even though the weather was not the best, all of the athletes persevered to their goals of finishing the course.
The snowshoeing athletes gave it their all on the snowshoe course. They showed their athleticism by racing fast and hard to show their dedication to the Winter Olympics in the 800 meter, 400 meter, and the 200 meter races. And that's a picture of the participants.
The award ceremony, or as some people would call it, the closing ceremony, was, in my personal opinion, one of the best things that happened at the event. Before the award ceremony started, they said the Special Olympics oath that has been said since 1968. Let me win, but if I cannot win, let me be brave in the attempt. Even that may stick to a lot of people and may mean something to a lot of people. And after the oath was said, all the participants and athletes that participated in this year's Special Olympics were awarded with for their bravery and the attempt, and were awarded either gold, silver, or bronze medals.
Fun activities. Some of our favorite memories were made during free time at the end of the day. We were able to go swimming, bowling, and hang out in the arcade. We were also able to make new friends from all over the state.
That concludes our presentation about this year's Special Olympic Winter Games. If you would like to ask any questions, we'd be able to take them now.
First off, it's not easy to stand in front of a whole room of people and give a presentation. So you both spoke wonderfully.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Very nice.
Second, so what was your favorite part of the trip? Because it looks like you got to do a lot of different
Meeting
things.
new other participants and meeting new people.
Me personally, connecting with my fellow friends from Delaware Valley and connecting with more other people around the state.
This was the first year for snowshoeing?
Yes.
And how was it?
Exhilarating.
Looked like a lot of hard work.
Those of you who don't know, the 800 is a half mile, and a half mile on snowshoes is a pretty impressive feat. Wow.
Wow, without snowshoes.
Yeah.
Thank you for representing our school district.
You're welcome.
Make us proud.
Absolutely.
John said, thank you very much for representing us and making us proud. I actually planned to go up there because I knew Dr. Bell was going up this year and I was going to go up there, but I was in the hospital with my mother. She's elderly, but I think if I went to try to get up on skis, I'd be in the hospital with me. Irishman on skis is probably not something that's, you know, but it's fantastic that you're able to do this. You really seem to enjoy what you do, huh?
Yes.
What's the difference between, what is a slalom G? I have no idea.
A slalom is if you have seen the Olympics, a slalom is with those poles where you go in and out, and a giant slalom consists of a bigger range of poles, but you can go in between them, but it's wider turns.
And you guys can do that?
He is a snowshoer. I'm a skier. I'm a skier, and I personally find it would very easy.
As you can tell from my accent, I'm not from around here. I can't snowshoe either, so you know, we take subways pretty good though. But thank you for coming tonight. It's a great presentation.
Thank you.
All right, our next presentation is one that happens every March, but we have a new face. Our new department chair for art is Mrs. Tricia Taylor. Took over for Stephanie Cavallero because she retired last June.
Oh, that's right, it's March.
I hear it's your favorite time.
Yeah.
So, good evening and thank you for having us tonight. I'm Tricia Kaler again, and I'm the new art department chairperson. I also teach digital photography and ceramics in high school. And with me, I brought Mrs. Tara Gandolfo. She is Delaware Valley Middle School, and also Anastasia Gregorieva and Alexandra Garcia. And we would like to celebrate Youth Art Month and just thank you for your continued support. There's a lot of great things that our educators and students are doing for the school and the community, and I'd like to share a few of those things with you There's a lot, so you'll have to excuse me, I have them written down. Don't want to forget anything. But on the Dingman's campus, the whole Dingman's campus participated in a winter art show at NovaCare Physical Therapy, where they displayed artwork throughout the winter. Our elementary and middle schools are transforming and beautifying their schools with murals and permanent art. They continue to do that. Delaware Valley Middle School participated in an empty bowl service project to help families in need. Our middle schools and high schools also participated in the National Scholastic Art Awards, which we had many regional winners. We had several, and we also had a national winner in the high school. And the national winner is Kaylee Baker, and she's going to be recognized at Carnegie Hall in June for her for a photograph. So that's the highest award that you can get as an artist nationally. We just found out about that last week, so this might be the first time that you're hearing about that. We're doing lots of other great things and other ways for students to be recognized. Students participate in other local art shows where our student Jarrett Palmadessa Jr. won a $40,000 scholarship at another local high school's art show. And Destiny Lorenko also won Best in Show there. Right now we have 2 current shows that you can still go and see. Our high school students are displaying artwork for sale at the Artery. That's in Milford, right at the light. And also there's a photography show that was just put up at the library today. So I brought some National Art Honor Society students that wanted to say a few words about their personal experiences and what art has given them and done for them before we distribute the honor note cards. And I just want to close with, before I hand it over to them, is that Stephanie Cavallero started this tradition many years ago, and we just decided to keep with that tradition because I think it's a great way to celebrate our students' art. So when you get these, it's the same format as Stephanie always that she created, and there's a note card from each teacher represented throughout the district, a student from each school. Okay. All right. Go ahead. Feel free to go first.
So hi everyone, my name is Alexandra Garcia. I just have like a little blurb about what being involved in art and how it has affected me. So I couldn't tell you the last time I did a real math equation, a real find the x math equation, maybe May or June of last year. That was probably around the time where I realized I don't think I ever want to do a real math equation ever again. So a few people thought this signified some impending doom for my college applications. I decided not to take math as a senior. To be honest, I felt no anxiety over this decision at all. In fact, I felt free. I haven't used a graphing calculator in ages, and it feels liberating. I bring this up to illustrate that some people are just better at things than others. Math was never my strong suit, and it sadly never will be. Art, however, is something that I have been able to excel at. It has always been something for me that's been both relaxing and challenging, something I've always been compelled to improve in. I can confidently say that improvement truly started when I entered high school. Everyone always talks about how different high school is from middle school when it comes to academics and expectations, and they're right. From the moment I walked into my first drawing class in 9th grade, I said, this is a real art class. After that, I not only encouraged everyone to take drawing, but then added art classes to my schedule year after year. In sophomore year, I discovered that I have a real knack for painting. Junior year was when I learned about the long, diverse history of art in a tiny class of 6 and made semi-decent jewelry pieces. And now in senior year, I'm taking an intensive studio class and I'm dipping into ceramics. Every year that I've taken an art class at DV, I've not only learned real, valuable skills and techniques, but I've also met some very interesting people. Not everyone who takes an art class is an art kid, which is another extraneous thing I've learned besides all these skills. The art classes here are so accessible that you don't really have to be an art kid to take them, which allows for a lot of diversity in class. I don't really know what I'd be doing had I not continued taking all these art classes. If I hadn't filled up all my empty elective spots with art, I can't even imagine what I'd be taking. Probably not math. The thing is that the art classes that I've taken all throughout high school have really shaped and solidified the idea that art is something I want to do with my life. Taking art classes has provided me with new connections, incredibly knowledgeable teachers, and a great sense of accomplishment. It was my teachers who have all prepared and encouraged me to continue on this path. And even though anything could happen in the future, I'm secure with the knowledge that what I'm doing is right for me. I'm more grateful for their teaching than they could ever know. They helped me grow and develop, and all the best work I've made is thanks to them. I know I'll be beyond prepared for college, and that I'll always look back to high school as the place where I was able to blossom and learn to create from the heart.
4 of them. And I did not write as long as the speech as Valley did, but I wanted to say that like each senior class is predominantly known for a trait, and I feel as though the previous couple of years were predominantly athletic. But in my opinion, our class excels in arts, and that's something new, I believe. I didn't take as many art classes as I would have liked to. I started my sophomore year, and I've only taken 5, which if I could restart high school, I would start right away, because art is what I want to pursue. Art has been an outlet of my life since I was in middle school. It helps me through my hard times, and through the hardships of my life, I realized that art is what I want to pursue in my life, and I will be attaining Seton Hill in fall with majoring in art therapy. Without the art teachers in the art department, I would never have pushed myself so hard to create amazing things and be able to say that my art is the cover of the Artery poster this year. The art department in all of our schools, not just the high school, is such a vital part to our district, and I would like to thank all of you for your never-ending support of us students and of our wonderful teachers. Thank you.
Well, in addition to artistic skills, you also have reading and public speaking skills.
I don't feel like it.
I think you ladies have got a great future, and thank you for coming to us and telling us about your experiences. Every time I walk through the halls in any of our schools, the elementary schools, the middle school, the high school, I'm just amazed at the talent we have here at DP. And, I'm really proud of the fact that we have an art program that develops that talent and brings it forth. So thank you for coming here tonight and reminding us.
Allie, where are you going to school next year?
Well, I just got accepted to Pratt, but
Oh, wow.
I'm still waiting for like an acceptance from FIT, so I'm kind of seeing the options right now.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
Congratulations.
What's really nice is seeing how you're able to get the art from the high school and into the community, like the library, the rehabilitation centers, and all over the place. You know, we hear one of my friends is a teacher out in Central Pennsylvania, and he's the art teacher, and he's the gym teacher, you know, and while other schools are shrinking their art programs and these other activities, we're excelling, you know, and that's thanks to you and thanks to the teaching staff. I mean, it's amazing. You make the district look great, as John always says.
Sure. Thank you very much.
My wife's an artist. I got a 10-year-old daughter now. She just turned 10 on St. Patrick's Day. She's a little artist. And then I have another daughter, Shaylee, who's going to be 13. She's going to be a teenager in a month. And she's over at the middle school. And, you know, making a transition to middle school was kind of difficult for her, but she got Artist of the Month when she first went over this. And that was like a real big help to her. I mean, I feel inadequate tonight. I just talked to 2 skiers. I can't ski a skier in a snowshoe. I can't do either of that. I'm not good at art, but you know, I was getting my eye fixed at the doctor there yesterday, and I walked in and I said, the woman said, "Are you okay?" I said, "Yeah, I'm enjoying your Monet." And she said, "No, you mean, I think they pronounce it Monet." I said, "No, that's a Monet over there. That's a Renoir over there. This is a Manet." And she said, "How do you know that? Are you into art?" I said, "My wife's an artist." It opened up a world for me. What you're saying, I agree with you completely, because I'm 56. When you go back 20, 30 years, I used to tell people, if you really get stressed out in life, because I had some stress in my life back then, get a box of crayons and a coloring book, and you get lost in that. Because the only thing I could think of at the time was, how do I stay inside the lines? And I was very bored. I'm a technical guy. But, you know, I see my daughters growing this, and I always say, if we didn't have art at Delaware Valley, we'd have some brilliant, we'd educate and graduate some brilliant mathematicians and some scientists and everything else, and it'd be very boring. With art, it gives us, America is known for inventing things. And the arts, and the literature, and the plays we see go on, and the music, that rounds a student out. That gives them the whole picture of it, you know? So I was on a tour last week, and like John said, I love just, because I'm amazed, because I can't do any of this. I've taught a lot of artists how to weld, that I can help out with, but I walk around the schools and I see the quality of the art that we have, and it's really amazing. And I was with Dr. Bell. He took me on a tour of the schools this week up in Dingdale Middle School, and I think he was talking to a principal over there, Mr. McCarthy. probably something about football, and I ditched him. I looked into the art room and talked to the art teacher for a while. It's something I can't do, but I really have a great appreciation of it for it. And I love to see those creative talents within me. So thank you for coming here and sharing that with us. And I love these things because now I have 3 of them at home that can't wait to get those cards. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
These
ladies.
really are-
Thank you.
They're fun to look at. Fantastic, thanks.
Wow.
Every year it's a big surprise for the house. I put them on the kitchen table. They all wake up in the morning. Okay, thanks, Art Department, for coming. I appreciate it very much. May I have a motion to approve the minutes from the regular board meeting held on February 21st, 2019?
So moved. Second.
Is there any discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Hearing no objection, the motion carries. Report, student representative report, Sarah Serrano, Miss Serrano, and Mr. Cal.
Hello.
Mr. Serrano, I talked to your mom this week, and
Oh, really?
she promised me a visit. Your granddad is from Northern Ireland. She promised me he was gonna come see you at a board meeting.
Oh, he should. He just went back to Brooklyn,
Yeah, I know.
but he'll be here. Yeah, he's from Donegal.
I look forward to it, because we'll be the only people speaking Irish in the room. Great.
All right, so spring sports just started, which is like boys volleyball and track and field for boys and girls, and then lacrosses. I think boys volleyball has their season opening tournament tomorrow. They're leaving for that. And the winter sports also finished, which was swimming sent 6 people to states. They sent 1 boy, which was Damian Baranowski, and they sent 5 girls, which was Sierra Gillen, Sierra Hartman, Shannon Degnan, Victoria Corcoran, and Randa Murray, yeah. They all competed there. And then boys wrestling also sent a state qualifier, which was Jason Henderson, and he finished in top 16 for the state. Engineering, Will Ellers, Richard Albanese, Nick Drago, Isaac Tillo, and Angus Muddy placed first at the Governor STEM Challenge. And then Kenzie Panetta and Hannah Williams qualified for the STEM state competition, which is on May 20th with in the event of regional media design. And they used some of our facilities here, like the 3D printers that we've recently got implemented into the STEM programs. So that's pretty cool.
Great. So then with student council we have going on right now. So we just had auditions wrap up on May 13th for anybody that was trying out for the talent show. So we had a good turnout. We had around 20 kids participate in the auditions. So they'll be hearing back very soon. And then if you guys are interested, the talent show is coming up May 23rd at 6 p.m. And then students were green on Friday, the previous Friday, March 15th for St. Patrick's Day. And right now we're actually collecting pennies for patients through the program to help with research for the Leukemia and Lymphoma Society. And we're actually going to have tables set up and lunches next week to raise money for the organization and sell stickers and everything. And that ends April 5th. And the classroom who raises the most money gets a bagel breakfast party. And then students are going to be wearing red to support this, the Leukemia and Lymphoma Society on April 17th coming up. And with the newspaper, what we have going on at the moment. So Thursday on March 28th, students are going to be wearing college apparel to support their favorite basketball teams. And then in honor of March Madness this month, the Delaware is hosting a contest where students and staff who want to fill out brackets. It was like a little competition we have going on. And our entertainment editor, Brenna Cavallero, was the one organizing that all. And whoever wins the competition receives $250 worth of clothing, DV apparel. So that's very exciting. And then we have our 7th issue of the Delaware coming out April 1st. So a little thing about that, it's like spoiler alert, but It's not going to be on Friday, which we usually come out. It's Monday. So you guys will see when it comes out. And then we also have the promposal contest, which is still going really strong. We've received 9 promposals, and it's going to be closing on April 19th. We have an amazing team of judges who are going to be judging the following day, and we're anticipating and very excited to see the more promposals we get. So, oh yeah.
Guest speaker Jeff Yeldon is going to be coming back to speak to us on the March 25th, which is next Monday. The NHS Charity Committee, they're organizing a food and supply drive for the Pike County Humane Society. In 2.5 weeks, I believe, FBLA is going to be attending states, which is at the Hershey Lodge, like it is every year. And we usually come with a good turnout. I think the past 2 years, we've got first and outstanding chapter in the state. And FCCLA left March 19th for their state competition, which is at Kalahari.
Yeah, and a lot of students competed tonight for that event too, so they're eager to hear back from them. Were there any questions about anything going on? Did the competition do anything?
You said the speaker's coming in. What's he coming to speak about?
I think it was about, he was supposed to come like earlier, but I think he's just like a motivational speaker speaking about like, was it like the awareness and everything with, which one was that?
He was coming in this week. I thought it was just like it was.
I think he was.
I'm
sorry.
You can phone a friend behind you.
Hi.
Usually, he's a motivational speaker, talks about leadership and also mental health in teenagers. So he was scheduled to come in October, and he graciously offered to come back in March to give his presentation to our
Okay,
kids.
he was here before.
He was.
Yeah.
Okay, that's great. That's great. Appreciate it. Thank you first for coming
Absolutely.
back. Well,
Thank you.
So you guys get off a little early on prom day, right?
Yeah,
Yeah.
we leave school like, it's like kind of a half day for us.
And do you remember career day?
I don't know.
That happens on the same day. I think it's for the sophomores.
Oh, really?
So while you guys are out fixing your hair, the sophomores are going around looking at different careers.
Oh my God.
Do you remember that at all?
I don't even remember doing career day, do you?
Career day.
Ancient history.
Oh my goodness. No, yeah. I totally.
I bring it up because I'd like to see the sophomores have as many different choices as possible, a lot of different careers to look at. So if there's any board members who've never participated in that, they're always looking for people to come in and talk about their career. I've been doing it for, I don't know, years. But it's a really good program. I think the kids get a lot out of it, a little chance to look forward and start thinking about what they want to do with their lives. So if you have a Friday afternoon that you can donate, think about calling Mr. Blom and volunteering.
I don't know, John. Clearly, we have to up our game though, because we're clearly not memorable.
You guys are. Oh my goodness. I don't remember.
Yeah, sure. I remember now.
I don't remember. You was great.
No, yeah, I don't even remember what I ate for breakfast.
I guess Corey said you're gonna stay for the rest of the night, but maybe Dr. Brown. I don't know, you gotta ask him. I can't dismiss you. We're gonna let him go, Dr. Brown?
I think so.
Oh, thanks.
All right, thank you very much.
Have a good night, guys.
You were very enjoyable. Your presentations are
Thank
very
you.
enjoyable to do.
Sorry for that slip.
You keep it very interesting.
Thank you.
That's a great time.
Thank you. Yeah.
I colorful that on the way in.
Do you want to go that way? We can go.
Oh,
So we
okay.
can go that way.
Thank you, guys.
Thank you.
Have a good night.
Thanks for coming out in the bad weather. Administrative reports and attendance reports. Are there any comments on the administrative reports and attendance reports?
I just have one, Jack, for Mr. Mitchell. When you get that program going at the public library, the technology to help senior citizens with
Yes.
their technological needs?
You got it, Mrs. Levy. Hopefully, we're shooting for this fall. I just talked to Dr. Blum about that, and we're working with Rose down at the public library to get that started.
Sounds great.
Jessica, will she crash the library?
That's what I just said to her. She's gonna crash the whole library. They're never gonna let her back.
We'll take you down to one of the big ones. One of the ones that they
There's this aura around me when it comes to technology. It's not positive. Well, maybe this will be
I
different.
just had one thing for Jim as well. How'd the Perkins audit go last month? I saw that they were on site.
Yeah, it went very well, very well. We should, any day now,
Okay.
be receiving a written report. But when Dr. Blum and I met with the auditor,
Yeah.
she said there were no findings. There'd be certainly some recommendations, which we're always looking for to improve. But there would be no findings where we would have to go into corrective action or any improvement plan, which we were thrilled to hear. And she was very excited about the renovations and what we're doing down there. And she's excited to come back in the future to see what it looks like.
Well, thank you both for spearheading. I mean, that Perkins audits are never fun. You know, they go through and every piece of equipment needs to be tagged and it needs to be inventory, you know, so thank you for that.
Okay. Are there any comments on the financial reports? No comments, all right. We have the superintendent reports with Dr. John Bell.
Okay, I just have 4 things for you tonight. The first thing is, since we're making good progress with, thanks to Marvin and all the workers, I wondered, would you guys be interested in taking a CTE tour before the April board meeting, which is April 25th, say at like 6:15? Because now it's easier now. The sun's out. You know, the couple times we've gone over there, it's been pitch dark. So we'll schedule it, you guys, and anybody can make it. We'll just meet around back like we did last summer when we walked through the mess. Or was it in the fall? I forget when that was, but we'll do it. So, and I'll send you a reminder. We'll do April 25th at 6:15. Because now they're putting interior walls. The floors are poured, and they're putting interior walls up and things like that in the wings. So it's really something to see now. It's come a long way. Okay. All right. The second thing. 180-degree turn from last year when everybody was asking us how we were going to make up the days. This year we still have, knock on wood, 3 extra snow days. So of course the buzz now is, what are we doing with those 3 extra snow days? And I have a partial answer, but I'm going to have to ask you to think about it a little bit. In the past, quite a few years, we've gotten out of school on a Wednesday and then had the teacher work day on Thursday and the teacher in-service day on Friday, so that everybody skedaddles on graduation Friday and it's summer for everyone. This year, we actually go to school up till Thursday because we wanted to get an extra snow day in our calendar. After last year, I think I was gun shy, so we did it. So the first recommendation I'll have is that we would actually turn Thursday, June 13th into a snow day and have the kids get out on Wednesday like we've tried to do other years. The second date that we've gone through and have cleared it, we went with the principals with all their testing calendars, all their special event calendars, and the second day is we were looking at Friday, May 24th, which would make Memorial Day a 4-day weekend instead of a 3. We don't have an answer for you for the third day yet. We're still matching calendars. It was hysterical in the team meeting yesterday. Every time someone threw out a date, someone else had something really big planned. No, that's PSSA. No, that's Keystones. No, that's prom. No, this is the AP window. No, this is, it was unbelievable. So we still haven't come up with a third recommendation for you. So we'll get back to you. We'll get back to you with some ideas. But if you think of anything, you think of a particular day or any ideas, just shoot me an email or let me know. And then we're matching our calendars, trying to come up with a third. We're supposed to have what's starting tonight. Who knows what will happen? But that would solve the problem. Yeah. And the really nice thing is that when you take one of the snow days, when you give one of the snow days back on the last day of school, that means anything that goes wrong between now and then, you can simply just have school on that Thursday in June. So it gives you a built-in, because I've seen schools spend them all early and then have something happen. And then they're really up the creek without a paddle, so.
Can we just have an extra day of school?
That
Union wouldn't mind.
Yeah, you would know, Billy would be the most heartbroken. Because now you gotta pay everybody an extra day. So if you have any thoughts about a
You're
potential.
not looking at getting out Tuesday? Like not doing that Wednesday also?
We've kicked it around. We're worried about being so far away from graduation that the sooner you get out, like now you, not only is graduation practice askew, but will the band and chorus kids be around to be part of the ceremony? And, you know, when, the longer you give them, the more kids that disappear
Yeah.
for summer. So that one we're kind of, because we did kick it around yesterday. And
Right.
oh boy, 2-day week would be nice, but there's a downfall to it because now it's all the way to Friday for graduation.
Yeah, that's the Tuesday after Memorial Day too.
A couple of years ago, we did that in the spring of 2016. We had budgeted 9 or 10 snow days and only used 2. So we actually had a 5-day weekend at Memorial Day. Because it's after the Keystones are over, it's after AP's over. We're really in the
Also for
home,
me.
we're in the home stretch.
Oh, then by all means, let's get works for Felicia.
So yeah, so I think it's the 29th or something like that. That's 28th or 29th. That's one of the days that's on our list as a potential.
When is prom?
What's that?
When is prom?
Friday, May 3rd. Yeah.
I know in the past they've taken prom as a,
Yeah,
I
we
mean,
pondered-
years back,
yeah,
they
we
would
pondered it.
give that, because the seniors aren't there for almost half the day anyway, so.
That blows career day out of the water.
When you said career day was the same day, I was like, okay, forget prom.
And
day.
it's also the last makeup day of PSSAs, because PSSAs are late this year with Easter interrupting it in the middle. Because we looked at that one too. Like we throw a date out and we look at middle, we look at high, we look at elementary, and most days there were major things that couldn't be moved. Because they were either state or, you know, you're booking a facility or whatever the case may be, so. But yeah, the Tuesday after Memorial Day is one of the ones that's floating out there. We don't seem to have anything big, so that's probably your most likely, unless we think of something better between now. You would vote on it at the April 25th meeting. You know, so we have a month, something, who knows what could happen. But we have plenty of time. Somebody even asked if we could come to school on the Thursday meeting into Easter. Because then we would, if we took that day back, then you could get out a week early. But I said, no. Because they were asking me yesterday, that would have to come to you tonight. And then we'd be giving people pretty short notice about their spring break. So I said, it's not worth all the headache, just, you know, the risk and the reward is, it's imbalanced. Okay, the other thing.
No final decision on what we do.
No, but the one Felicia mentioned is the one that doesn't have a conflict, so it is definitely on the list. But if you think of something else that you want us to check, if you think of another day that might be a likely one, we can run it by all the principals and check the calendars. But certainly that Tuesday, the by and large, and that'd be a nice long weekend. And I think it's June, I think at the end of that week, so you're already to June, so that's good.
I'm sure there'll be a lot of suggestions on Facebook by morning.
That's right. The third thing too is, as part of our comprehensive plan, we have to update our special ed plan. And it's off cycle. The special ed plan gets updated at a different time of our comprehensive plan. So just so you know, the special ed plan will be posted on the website for 30 days, right, Maria? It'll be on 30 days. And what do they do if they have any comments or anything?
Public can comment during that time. Anybody can provide comments and we can always make adjustments to it. At the end of that 30-day period, it comes to the board for approval and John and Jack have to sign it and then we submit it to the state.
So we do that every 3 years, so we're up again. We're up for a year.
And when is it going on?
I don't know if Chris put it up today. If not, it's tomorrow morning.
Thank you.
And then the fourth and final thing is I wanted to thank you guys for all your support of our music program. I told you in the weekly review that I'm getting an award in Pittsburgh. But we couldn't do it without you guys supporting the music program with the budget every year. So I wanted to thank all of you in public. Because it's pretty amazing. You know, you heard the girls, what a great job they did speaking about the art program. And there's so many programs like that we're able to fund with the annual budget. So I just wanted to say thanks to the nine of you for your commitment financially to the music program. That's all I have. Thank you.
This week I went to, I guess they said it was the inaugural between the middle school and DV middle school and DV Dell Middle School. My daughter was in the band concert, and I guess that was the inaugural time where they brought the two school bands together, and it was like It's amazing. These kids play together and they're 12, 13, 14 years old, you know? And to listen to it, like in my family, they all play music. To hear it from the elementary level on up, and I know Mr. Bullock got up and he said, these are the kids that I'm gonna have in high school, and you just wonder if it sounds this good at this point, what's it gonna sound like in high school, you know? I mean, it was really nice to see. I enjoyed it the other night. Thank you.
And John, part of getting that award is because the school board initiated the marching band when it did, right? At a time that most people were pulling away from music. So shout out to Jack, who's not here, is he? No.
And he added.
Not you, Jack. Jack Fisher. I know from sitting on the other side of the table, that was something he really was passionate about.
And we also added another new teacher because our enrollment in the music program, even though our overall enrollment declined since the recession, our music department enrollment is higher than it's ever been. So we added another music teacher, we added the guitar, elective guitar 1, our guitar 2, so all those things. And we hosted the first ever District 10 Jazz Festival a few years ago. They never had one. They wanted to start one. We've hosted, I think, literally every kind of festival there is for District 10. So our music program is clicking on all cylinders. And publicly, I can't tell you good news again about another award, but next time I can tell you about another music award that we're going to win.
Excellent.
So that's good. So Mike's real good in the music program.
Pam was a big supporter of that marching band too, because you were in a marching band, right?
I was. I played flute. And I remember back when we voted in the junior varsity team. And that's before this part of the district office existed. We were over in that section. And we got into some pretty deep arguments about supporting that band. And God bless Tina Dewar, because she met somebody in the parking lot and defended me for my desire to see a marching band here. So every time I hear marching band, I think of Tina.
Yeah, I'll just add too. I mean, I think music, it's not just making things that are pleasant to listen to. I think music is as important to brain development and creativity as having math class. I think it's critical for young people. And so I'm just really delighted that we emphasize that here. So
What's so great about the PMEAs is my daughter plays the piano, my oldest one plays the piano and the violin, and then she wants to play flute. So we get this flute at home, and man, we can't make a sound out of this thing. And I call Pam up, and she tells me, blow into it like you would a bottle. It was out, we got a sound out of it. And 9 months later, my daughter gets invited. I mean, she picked this up good to go to the PMEAs. What was so great about the PMEAs is that not that she met other children from like what just happened to her now. She met other children that play up in Delaware Valley Middle School, and she'll be playing with it in the high school years. She met people from all the other districts coming together. So that was like fantastic for her. It was great. It was a great honor for her to go represent DV at PMEAs, but it was a great opportunity for her to sit down with children from different part of the state and to all sit down, from different school districts. So that was like fantastic. And it all started with a phone call to Pam asking her, how do you get a sound out of this thing, And it's just, okay, I'm gonna stop.
That's pretty funny that I said, here, I'm gonna get the Superintendent of the Year award. I can't play an instrument or sound like. So clearly you're helping all the money, helping me get the award.
How are you with skiing and snowshoeing?
I used to ski, but I think I'm safer to be on the snowshoe.
It's all about participation. A band provides opportunities for a lot of students to be involved. And with that then comes the pep club and so forth. So I mean that you don't have to be a great musician, but it's to offer something else for a student to do.
Yeah, so true.
It is amazing to see how they improve.
Yeah, each year.
My daughter in 3rd grade playing the violin, it was painful. And yet to watch those kids develop through middle school and high school and to go to competitions where they're in 2 days, it's a totally different group of kids with a totally different director that they've never had before, and they pull it all together. And so I bought all the CDs, of course, and I listened to them in my car, and she's like, you're still listening to those CDs? I'm like, yeah, I like them, sorry, but it really is amazing.
I think the young lady who spoke hit the nail on the head. Music, art, anything like that. I mean, we have one of the more comprehensive schools I've ever heard of. You know what I mean? So if a student wants to go into automotive, they want to go to music, art, and what we're trying to do with the junior ROTC and some of that, you know, there's a spot for everyone. You know, and it's not like that in other districts. So what happens is they get forced down the wrong path, and I mean their life alters because they don't have opportunities. So being able to provide those at a young age really just it's right.
And you know, it is a real compliment to the school board. You know, back in 1992, we had a school board that didn't want to spend the money, and we had a community that didn't want to possibly raise taxes by adding a band and other, you know, extracurricular activities. It was really, really tough back then to bring things to this district. So, you know, we had school board members who literally had to fight off other board members to get to this point. So you always have to thank and remember the board who makes those decisions.
And I think it's important to remember too, that there have been a number of studies that show that students who study music do better in math and the sciences, so there's a lot of spin-offs. And some of our students end up getting careers in music. My youngest daughter was personnel director and operations manager for the New York Symphony Orchestra. And now she's at Carnegie Mellon getting a master's degree and playing with the old University Symphony Orchestra at Carnegie. So, you know, this is the real thing for some of our kids. And not many go on to a career in music, but there are very few high schools in Pennsylvania now who can send students to a career in music because they don't get the background they need while they're in high school.
I just like it because music is something I can do. I feel less inadequate now. I was getting lost in it, you know? I was gonna ask, do we have a motorcycle club here at all? But, you know, just going by what John says, and I'll make it really quick, is that I've read a lot of studies on music, and even when students, when you play music for them a half hour, and especially children with special, children with special needs and special education, how they test so much better if you play music for them for 25 minutes before they test. You know? So
Because what I can vouch for, if you get them a set of drums and an electric guitar, your parents are gonna have a constant headache.
Guaranteed, right?
Down that road.
Worked for my parents.
So far, my little girls haven't picked up my bagpipes yet. I still have a wife. I'm not divorced yet, but thanks. Okay, now I've completely lost. Yeah, thank you, Ashley. It's hard to do this blind. May I have a motion to accept the treasurer's report?
Motion.
Any discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? If no objection, the motion carries. Bills for payment. May I have a motion to accept the bills for payment, which include the general fund, cafeteria fund, capital reserve fund, and 2017 construction. So move. Second. Is there any discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? If no objection, the motion carries. We're gonna need to adjourn for an executive session to discuss a student issue, negotiation, litigation, and personnel. So we may be there for a little bit, but we will return. Can I have a motion to move into executive session to discuss the student issue
Motion.
and the other issues that I have?
Second.
I have a motion to move back into regular session.
Ray.
Any discussion? There's no discussion.
It wasn't back
No, Phyllis.
I don't know what you said on that corner there.
I have a motion to approve the personnel items, including resignations, appointments, child rearing leaves, extension of bereavement, change of status, change of salary, and administrative transfers with the retirement resignations accepted with regret. Motion. Is there any discussion with this?
I just want to give a shout out to those retiring teachers. Alan Brochus from DVES, Ellen McDonough from Dingman's Elementary, Jill Mann at Shahola, and Bob Skibber at Dingman's Middle School. Oh, and then there's one more. Mary Olson. Mary won't be going until October, thankfully, but, and all these people have many years. And we'll bring them all to the meeting in June. But just so many years, and you're talking probably a couple hundred years when you add them all. So really, we're gonna miss them all.
Lots of positive impact with that.
Yeah, even Mary. Yeah. I gotta pick on her all I can.
That's a lot of experience going out the door.
Yeah.
Yeah, you can't be experienced. You're so right.
All us old guys say, right?
Yeah, that's what we all say.
We're hoping everybody will believe it.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Hearing no objection, the motion carries. There you go. That's it, right? I jump back up, okay. Thanks. May I have a motion to approve the additional volunteers? Please see the attachment. Motion.
Second.
Any discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Being no objection, the motion carries. May I have a motion to approve the school hours for the 2019-2020 school year as listed? Can I say that, Ashley?
Motion.
Any discussion?
Just for the public edification, no changes in the times.
No changes in the times. Thank you. Thank you both. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Hearing no objection, the motion carries. May I have a motion for the expulsion of student number 2018-2019 4000263 for 180 days.
So, second.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Hearing no objection, the motion carries. Thank you. You really helped me out. I appreciate it. May I have a motion to approve the change orders for the CTE addition and renovations project as noted for a total of $30,010.44.
So moved.
Second.
Is there any discussion? Okay, I do have a question. There's a laser printer in here, a laser cutter. Sorry, not a laser printer, a laser cutter. There's ductwork and exhaust fans for the laser cutter. There's an electrical hookup for the laser cutter. Did we buy the laser cutter or is that gonna be at a later time? Later time,
On the list to be purchased.
okay.
You won't have to approve it. It's kind of in the CTE equipment line.
Exactly.
It's in the CTE equipment line, so you don't. do a
So it's
motion.
already in the seat, this is not an additional thing.
Right, and it won't affect the budget because it's part of CTE.
Okay, very good. All those in favor say, is there any other further discussion on any of this stuff? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Hearing no objection, the motion carries. May I have a motion to approve the bids for the 2019 capital improvement station projects? Please see attachment.
So moved.
Is there any discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Hearing no objection, the motion carries. May I have a motion to approve the purchase of a replacement backhoe, New Holland Number B95C at a cost of $75,885, includes trade-in from the capital reserve account.
So moved.
Second.
Is there any discussion? I asked Marvin this week to find out what the warranty information is, and it's 1 year complete. That's the end of it. Thanks. Is there any other discussion, any questions on this purchase?
I think we ran over it last meeting, so definitely needed a little bit.
I just noted last week, we were talking about taking it out of CTE, and now we're taking it out of the capital reserve account.
Appreciate it. Need it.
Okay, all those in favor say aye. Aye. Are there any opposed? Hearing no objection, the motion carries. Marvin, I'd just like to say, you proved to me that you give us our best possible luck. So I appreciate your help. And you say
It's
you
a
need
team
something.
effort. It's a team effort. I'm just leading the team.
I know, but when you say something, Marvin, I trust you. May I have a motion to approve the request for the waiver of rental fees for the following organizations, subject to approved insurance? Number one, Office of Lieutenant Governor John Fetterman to use the Dingman, Delaware Middle School Auditorium on April 28, 2019 for the recreational marijuana listening tour at a loss of rental fees of approximately $200. We'll get to it.
Motion. Second.
Any discussion?
There's no conflict of interest there, is there? Just given the subject, I know it's like a political issue, but I guess the lieutenant governor is doing it. A lot of states are talking about this, but typically we try to separate marijuana listening tours from the school.
It's a very good point.
Yes, I would.
We have policies that would get kids, expelled for,
Right.
and here we're gonna be talking about it.
And we also have an issue too where we can't discriminate against public groups that use the facility. We don't get to pick and choose. We can't let the Catholics in and the Hare Krishnas. We can't let the pro this and the anti that.
How about we keep all politicians out?
I think basically this listening tour is for him to get input, positive or negative. So I think anybody who wants to come is willing, is able to come and speak for or against. That's what a listening tour is supposed to be about.
I'll be there.
Are we going to advertise it?
We don't do anything like that. Just like when the League of Women Voters wants to use it, that's all up to them. All we do is provide a facility.
So we're not sending notices home.
I guess that's what I was concerned about is, that we do have discretion of that, correct?
Yeah.
We do have the ability to say, no, we're not sending a flyer home that has to do with recreational marijuana use.
Absolutely.
I have no problem listening to medicinal. Recreational, yeah, I have a problem with that, but if it's what John has described, and that's how I took it, but I have questions. If it's a listening tour where a person comes and says, how do you feel about it? I want to hear the pros and the cons of it. Then I guess I'm okay with it. My question, I guess to you, John, is could I just refuse this or no? We can't refuse who comes in and who comes out.
It's a slippery slope. Once you start, because now you're discriminating against certain groups.
But we don't have to
agree
wait
with
the
Brian,
fee.
though. I don't think this is a topic but I guess it is.
What we can do is turn down the request for free use of the facility.
Right, we don't have to wait the fee.
But we can't refuse the use of the facility to somebody who wants to use it.
And he's coming as a representative of the state government. It's not like this is.
Yeah.
So if the
John
NRA wanted
Jones.
to come to our school and hold a discussion on automatic rifles and possibly have, I don't know, I haven't been to a listening tour, possibly have information and pamphlets and different people passing things around about high-powered rifles. We have to allow that.
Right, and we would not allow them to bring rifles, just like we would
Right.
allow them to bring marijuana. 'Cause then you can't bring
So
any
even though it's in
marijuana.
direct contradiction to the school's policies and how we operate,
it's not in contradiction to our policies, because our policy says we treat everybody equally.
Not if they have pot.
No, but any.
Well, there's not gonna be pot that, well,
Right.
come on.
It's the recreational marijuana.
I'm not even listening
It's the recreational marijuana listening to it all. This is what I want a clarification on for myself, not the recreational marijuana handing out to
Well,
it.
but can we stipulate that they cannot have, and, I mean, we wouldn't allow somebody else on campus to hand out material that
Right, the way the
was a
policy.
pro for recreational marijuana, so can we ask them
The
if we
policy,
approve
policy
this?
says they can't hand out, no group can hand out anything without my approval. All
At
flyers
the-
and handouts have to
okay.
be approved.
This is just.
So even if they cannot show up with any brochures, any group that uses our school.
Right, they have to, anything that they want to hand out has to be cleared through us first.
Okay.
And I think you told us last week you do that personally.
Yeah. Yeah.
And
Because
did I
it just
hear
can
that?
be just a lightning storm of,
Yeah.
lightning rod of bad news. if
And
don't
we
have-
send that information out to groups, so they're aware of the fact that they could not hand something out without your approval at the.
It's part of, it goes with, but I'll make sure that this group knows. But
Yeah.
I think it's part of when you do the facility request.
Okay.
But I will make sure that once we tell them the fee's been waived or not, we'll let them know that nothing can be handed out without approval through me.
Yeah.
Okay.
And I'll give them a deadline in advance.
Mark, you mentioned you're gonna be there. Are you gonna be there as a citizen or as a resource officer?
Citizen. And kind of, I guess kind of resource officer, because I'm gonna let into the guy, so. I wanna be there.
So then you'll be there as a. Well, then you better be there as a citizen.
I suggest we approve his overtime so he can go there as a resource officer. No, let him do it as a resource officer.
I would encourage all board members
Yeah, I
who
would-
can make that listening tour be there, so we can voice our opinions on the subject.
Yeah.
I have an opinion both as a school board member and as a pharmacist who's had specialized training in drugs abuse. So I'd like to be there if I can.
Yeah, I'm gonna come to it too. If only to see Mark.
Brian, I'm not gonna rip it,
But
but
we have to.
I'll give him my opinion.
If board members attend this, I think it's noted that they have to attend as private citizens.
Yeah, sure.
Yeah, great.
Okay.
And I'll tell them no flyers and no free samples.
I'll be there with you, Mark, okay?
All right.
Okay, is there any more discussion, questions?
I was gonna say, so the on the table is to approve it with waiving the fee.
Yes, because we don't want to discriminate. Of course, I guess, no.
And it's actually a Sunday.
We always waive it.
It's a Sunday.
It's a Sunday.
Why do we have a fee?
For nonprofit.
Well, because for-profit people use our facility, such as like a
So they
for-profit
use-
dance
So it's just the
school.
nonprofits
Yeah,
that we're
that or
waiving
they
for.
can make the request, right? Yeah. But if it's like a dance school from Matamoros or Milford, and they have their recital on a Sunday, you don't wait.
People coming out of Harrisburg obviously aren't for profit.
Right.
Okay, but I've said my piece.
Did you see the salary you just allowed tonight? All those in favor say aye. Aye. Any opposed? Hearing no objection, the motion carries. I have a motion for the approval of Delaware Valley Adult and Community Education DV ACE courses and instructors for the summer of 2019 as per attachment.
Motion.
Second.
Is there any discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Hearing no objection, the motion carries. May I have a motion for the approval of board policy 1 to 14 as listed?
So moved.
Any discussion?
Yeah, I just have one question, and I'm sorry I didn't notice this before, and it may be fine the way it is, but 340. When I was reviewing them again tonight, it seems to end abruptly, where most of our policies end with some kind of a reference to a law or something else. And I just don't know if this is ending, what's on the website isn't complete, or is that just the way it ends? Do you want? And there's usually always some kind of a
citation.
Yeah, so it may be fine that way, but, and I'm sorry I didn't notice your report tonight.
There's no.
Actually, I don't see any citations in the body, so there wouldn't be any. on
So
the
it's,
bo-
so
on the
that's
end.
fine the way it is, it jumped out at me as being different.
One and two? Yeah, that's why there's nothing at the bottom, because there's no reference to laws, okay?
Okay, well, is there any other discussion? All those in favor say aye. Any opposed? Hearing no objection, the motion carries. Please note in the minutes, the following board policies are under view. Policies number 1 through 22 as listed. Of the boards, is there any other business from the board?
Okay, I had one thing, I just wanted to talk about the changes between why there could be, in some subjects there are, in some subjects there are not, between the raw, there was a question for the vote. There was a question about the raw scores we get on PSSAs in the summer and the final scores that that PDE posts on their website. Some are identical, some are off by a little bit, some are off by a couple of points.
Right.
So,
So I contacted Craig Wellers, who is one of the bureau chiefs in the Office of Accountability, Assessment and Accountability for PDE. And I asked him, I said, is it related to enrollment? Is it related to attributions? And I'll explain this a little bit. Is it related to students' refusal for taking the test and the passes scores? And his response was all of the above. It was basically yes. The raw scores that we get in July, which is what we build our program on for the start of the year, is actual raw scores of the data. When it gets all filtered through in the fall by PDE, they look at, for example, any student that enrolls after October 1st is attributed back to their school of origin. So if they attended East Stroudsburg, those scores are attributed back to East Stroudsburg. If a student is enrolled in Dingman-Delaware Elementary School for the start of the year until December, and then January until the test date is enrolled in Shahola Elementary School, we go through an attribution process where we take, okay, the first 5 months of the school year, they're attributed to Dingman-Delaware Elementary School, and then the remainder of the school year, they're attributed to Shahola. So it's portioned out based upon the actual seat time of the child in the classroom. Also, for another factor is if there's a child that refuses to take a test. Typically, that doesn't affect us. However, if it's more than 1% or more than 5% of the students refuse to take the test, that doesn't seem like it's a big amount. But when you have a class that is less than 100 students, if they have 3 kids that the parents have refused for them to take the test, that can affect significantly the overall percentage. Because, for example, Shahola might only have 69 students in a grade level. If they have 3 kids that refuse to take the test, they're counted as basic or below basic on their overall scores. So that could bring them down by as much as 3 or 4% on their scores. So those are the kind of things that when we get the raw data, we don't see that, but we hit the ground running. We distribute the scores to the buildings, then we start designing what our instructional practices, or how we need to tweak the curriculum, our assessment plan, and so on for the course of the year. And that's what we go on. We go on the actual raw data of the kids in the seats. And then we put that data into our data tracking system where our kids are actually enrolled at the start of the school year. So when we're doing that, kids that left over the summer or they get transferred between buildings, the actual data is in there for our teachers and our staff to use to build their programs throughout the course of the year. That's the actual kids in the seat at the time. But that's different from the raw data, and it's also going to be different than the data that the state is reporting, because the state is juggling all of those balls, and they're only holding us accountable for the kids at that time. And I know it's confusing. It's confusing for us too, but that's why we go by the actual raw data. We're looking at our kids that took the test last year, whether they're attributed to the particular school or not. They're in our schools, they're in our seats, and that's the kids we're dealing with. And we want to look at how did our schools do. You know, if they're an ESL student, their scores don't get attributed back to us if they're within the first year. They can voluntarily take the ESL test, but they don't have to. So if they don't take the test, they may come out as basic or below basic on the overall score. It's not going to show up on PDE. They're not going to count it against us. So all those factors kind of, it's hard to explain, and but we try to use the raw data for our own practices. It's actually, most instances, it's harder. It's more stringent, and I always say to the principals, don't beat yourselves up, because if this is where we're scoring, other districts are not going to fare as strong as we do. And that's why when we look at the state averages, we're generally well above the state averages. But there's a lot of various data factors and statistics to consider. So that's the long version.
So I appreciate that explanation, because for those of us who went home and did do our homework, it was a little confusing to see the disparity between state scores and Delaware Valley scores. And I don't think we ever want to send a message out to the community who may be interested that
absolutely
our information is.
And I do apologize that was clearly not the intent.
I appreciate that.
You know, we look at what we go by. You know, one of your comments, Pam, was from the start, well, I need to know if I'm going to build a budget, what the actual scores look like, and we totally appreciate that.
Yeah.
But we're looking at what I think is the harder numbers.
Right.
And a lot of instances, when you look at that, we didn't look as good in a lot of instances than what the state data showed. But that's what we're building our programs on.
No, it's important. And I had one other question in my mind. When we look at Pennsylvania, how Pennsylvania is rated, you know, I hear various numbers. I was looking up some information. I saw 51.2%, where the highest being 75. So that told me, well, Pennsylvania is not that far below. I've heard we're 46th in the nation. What do you use to determine, as a school district, where Pennsylvania is as far as being rated? Pennsylvania is rated by many different agencies. So what do you use as the most reliable to tell you where Pennsylvania is, so that we know what we're comparing our scores to?
Well, in this instance, we compare ourselves to the Pennsylvania averages. So it's not comparing PA to other states. It's comparing us to whether we're exceeding the averages.
Right, and I know that's what we do, but I'm just curious, if you wanted to know, where does Pennsylvania stand in the nation?
I mean, I'd look at NAEP scores.
Okay.
But not every school district is taking the national assessment every year. I think Vicki took it most recently in 4th grade. So, it's not every grade. You know, when you get the call from DC, they tell you this is your appointed school and grade level that is going to take the test. It's not the whole school, and it's just a sampling. But so I would, if I were to look at that, I'd look at NAEP scores, you know, across the country, and that kind of gives you. But again, it's a statistical analysis of where you fit amongst the 50 states.
Right.
It's not every grade level. It's not every year. I think you've gotten caught a couple times. You took it not too long ago. So
it's a lottery.
Yeah. And they look at your demographics and how that fits into the state's makeup when they select the schools.
Mm-hmm.
So.
And Education Week usually ranks them A through F. They give the schools and the states an A through F ranking. And usually comes out every year in Education Week. Massachusetts is, as long as I can remember, Massachusetts has always been the #1 state.
Right. Yeah.
But we're usually around 9th or 10th on an academic rating. Now, when it comes to Pennsylvania funding us, we're 46. You know, they do a horrible job of funding us, so it falls on the local taxpayer. But normally we're around 9 or 10.
And I think it's important, because we hear all the time Pennsylvania is 46. I think you have mentioned it several times,
funding.
but it's important to know that is funding and not educational.
And the other thing I wanted to bring up too about the PSSAs, under federal regs, you're allowed to have 1% of your kids take the alternate assessment, the PASA, for the kids that are severely disabled. Well, 16% of our kids are special ed. So we have a lot more than 1%. So they're automatic failures if we have more than 1% of our kids take the PASA. But we don't, you know, I look at it and I've been adamant that and Maria will tell you, that we don't care, because we're not going to make kids take a test that's totally inappropriate. I mean, it can be brutal for kids to have to sit, you know, a kid with severe disabilities and try to sit and take a 8th grade PSSA NAG test or something. So we do get whacked on that, but we don't care. We think it's the right thing to do.
So when we look at the statistics, our performance, the students that took the PASA are included in that statistic?
If
In the
more
basic
than-
and below basic?
if
If
more
they took
than
the
one-
alternative test?
If more than 1% take the alternative, then they're basically counted as a below basic or an automatic failure. Even if they're taking the alternate test, their scores get converted to a failure on the PSSA. So you could have a kid who's in a self-contained.
But it can't go above 16%.
No,
No, you
actually,
can't.
we're higher than 16% right now. We can't have more than 1% of our students who take the alternative assessment achieve a proficient score. So we typically run between 1 and 2, right around 2% of our students take the alternative assessment. The state says you're only allowed to have 1%. So anybody who is successful beyond that 1%, we take their proficient score and move it to a below basic score.
Even if they, get proficient on the alternate, it's considered a below basic as they convert it back to PSSA. 1%. It's an amazingly low number. It really is.
Quick point with PEG. So I know we're building the curriculum off of the test scores, and I just want to be clear, the test scores are one variable that we use for curriculum development. And for the public too, it's just important to note when you do see standardized tests, there's so many variables that go into cleaning this data set. And there's so many of these things that we've just heard tonight that go into the scores that we don't see on the outside. And working with data every day at the college level, I know this, and we've seen the standardized tests phasing out of colleges and phasing out of secondary education because of these reasons. And because they're trying to fit a square peg into a circle hole, essentially.
And that's why the state, and I apologize, that's why it probably was even more confusing when we did the Future Ready Index. The state is really trying to get us to focus more on career and college ready standards and not specifically on standardized tests. Yes, it is a factor. Yes, it is a strong component, but it's not the end all. And they're trying to get all of us as a community to try to start focusing on the big picture, where kids are going beyond school versus drilling specifically into the data. And the state is trying to get us to stop micromanaging those numbers. Yeah, we still need to look at them as the educators to say, where do we need to tweak things? Can we do things better for certain population of kids or a particular school, whatever. And is it curriculum based? What are the factors that are involved? But it's more the end goal.
So, and I think the bigger indicator for us is that even the departmental math tests and how we, our own development of tests, test actually what we care about because our population is so different than other populations. And really, unless we write the test, we know what we're asking and we know how valid it is and how reliable it is. So I'm glad that we have multiple variables going into that.
Every year when Scranton Times says they're grading our schools section and they evaluate all 37 districts in Northeast PA and they call the same lady, Sarah Hofias Hall, calls from the Scranton Times and says, congratulations, John, you're one of 3 districts or you're one of 4 districts that are being honored out of the 37. And I tell her the same thing every year. We want to be successful on the test, but we don't want to be obsessed with them. Because we have much more important things that we're teaching on besides what's on the test.
Absolutely.
And I guess my concern as someone who's been around for a very long time, I hate to admit that, but it has been a long time. And I first came to Delaware Valley in 1973. So I lived Delaware Valley for almost 14 years. I have seen the progress that has occurred because of accountability. This district did not always have accountability. And I have seen us grow into what I consider a very fine institution. And honestly, I don't think it would have happened without the state assessments. So I know there's a lot of controversy, and I know, maybe you don't do well in a category and it's taken very personally. For me, I always felt if you don't do well in an area, have a plan. What is the plan? How are we going to approve it? So as good as it sounds that the state wants us to prepare for careers and so forth, what are we preparing for? Are they giving us anything to say, these are the skills that out there business people are saying, industry is saying? I haven't seen anything yet. I just went on and researched and I see nothing. So until that happens and we have specifics to follow, we have to respect those tests. And you may not like them, but that's where you have to go to your legislators, or you go to your conferences and you say, this is not appropriate, this is. But without accountability, I don't want to see us go backwards.
I was just going to say something similar as far as being able to bring that information back to, if the focus is less about basic math skills, which seems to be what we really need to focus on, then we need to bring that information back to the legislators and the Department of Education and say, well, then you need to really look at your middle school PSSA test and make sure that it's in line with what you're asking the schools then to focus on. So if that's not what we're focusing on, is what's currently being tested in the PSSAs, then I think that that's partly our responsibility to tell them that they need to revamp the test then.
And one other major factor, through the years, we have spent hundreds of thousands of dollars on curricula. Every so many years, new reading, new math, new reading, new math. We had a writing curriculum at one time. I don't know where that went. So much money, that is taxpayers' money being spent on curricula, that now we're saying, well, we don't know what we're measuring. Basically,
we know
exactly what we're measuring.
We know what we're measuring, we just may not be jiving 100%
I'm
with the
saying
state,
the
but we don't agree with
state.
them.
I'm saying the state is saying to you.
Yeah.
I know you know what you're measuring, but the state is saying, I mean, what do they want to see? So I think it's important we keep following
And
the
they
path
keep
we
changing the
are.
wheels, they keep changing things on us. That's the hardest part, is that there's no consistency, because every time there's new leadership in Harrisburg, it changes on us again. The other thing too is there is no consistency. The one thing always drove me nuts as teachers, there's no consistency from test to test. Like the third grade test on an ELA or math might be easy. In the fourth grade is wicked. And then fifth grade is so-so. So there is no that validity and reliability. So you can't even say, well, my kid did this in third grade and then he did this in fourth. You can't, it's so hard to compare because one of the tests is blatantly, clearly easier than another one. It's like if they were the appropriate level of difficulty for each grade level, then you could watch a progression of your kid. Or you could get really bummed out thinking that your kid did something, oh my God, what happened this year? And it could all be about the level of difficulty of the test, not the performance of the kid, so.
Does age appropriateness factor into that, what you're talking about from the fourth?
I think it's a lack of consistency on the test developers. That you have people, somebody goes off to make the third grade test, a whole other group goes off to take the fourth grade, and they're not talking to each other about the level of difficulty. And if there was a range of difficulty on each other test, then you could see the progression of your kids. But it's really hard to measure because they could be advanced in third grade and get blasted and be basic in fourth, because the test is so much harder, not because of the content itself.
I do think, though, that there is a little bit of the writing, for instance, the text dependent analysis. That is a developmental aspect of it. And what they're requiring students to do at a young age is not developmentally appropriate for their skills and the amount that they're supposed to analyze. And, and I think that we've done, I know that writing has been a big focus, on improving. And I think that in general, I think that that's, you do need to improve upon, an area of weakness. But I also think that at some point looking at what they're expecting students to do at an age where their brains just don't work that way is absolutely, though, a component of it. And especially that to me is the most glaringly obvious example of something that's completely not
I know in
developmentally appropriate.
mathematics, I've seen that. I've seen it in other children. I've seen it in my own children. That's what I've read. So that's why I asked the question.
And they're still in the concrete operational, and they're asking very
Right.
abstract things.
And we did that in high school.
Yeah.
And now it's, third, fourth, and fifth graders are expected to do it.
And there's stuff on the 8th grade exam that was in trade in 11th grade when I was a kid.
Right.
You look at it. And we have kids, our 8th graders, our top 8th graders have to take the Keystone Algebra, and they take the 8th grade PSSA. And they do better on the high school exam than they do the middle school. So that shows you the wackiness of the inconsistency of exams.
And to improve writing ability, giving statistical and analytical information at a very young age is totally missing the boat. Nothing is going to improve writing faster than letting children present verbal expression, drama. So the more of that level of arts we get at a younger age, they will write. They will write what they speak. They will write what they act out. And those are the kind of items I hope that we are putting into our classroom. But if we're doing all this extra formal writing, when do they get that experience? Yeah.
It's that, and again, that's the accountability piece. What is it that, what gets measured gets taught. And we want the kids to perform well. We want them to be successful. It's not the end all, but our kids did a lot better when they were writing in modes of writing. A lot better when they were doing short answer. But now they have to take a technical piece of writing, they have to pull out, they have to use 3 or 4 pieces of evidence, and they have to sum it up. Well, that's very different than writing a story or writing a persuasive piece. That's a very different, it's much more technical what they're doing. And they're asking them to do it in 4th grade.
It's something we were never asked to do when we were in grade school. We didn't have these standardized exams. It was one of faith in teachers. You know?
And then on Pam's point there, if you show a deficiency in 4th grade, districts are spending all this money on curriculum going down a path because they think there's a problem. But really, there's a third variable of the developmental of the children.
And then 3 years from now, they'll change the standard and we'll be back to modes of writing. I mean, it's just.
Nobody heard of text-dependent analysis 10 years ago, or 5 years ago, Now it's.
Unless you were writing a document on AP US history and you had to pull it apart, that's what you were writing, that document.
Pam, your comment on curriculum, we're not spending any more money on curriculum than we have in the past. We've always, and we've always appreciated the board's support there, that we review our curriculum at a minimum 5 years, but even more often than that. And that's something that I think has changed slightly, but it's not that, okay, now we have these different tests, so we're revising curriculum more often. No.
Well, we just changed our. I think it was the textbooks and stuff that she's referring to. So,
I mean, we just changed. That's a major expense.
It was a major
And I don't know if it helped or not, because when I look at some of the scores, I'm not sure. So I have to say some of the schools did very well in language arts. Some didn't. Some did great.
And
none did great in math.
Textbooks aren't your curriculum, they're one component. So yes, we do rely on them and we do use all the components that come along.
My main comment was to express the frustration you must feel.
Yes,
and
it's challenging, yes, but I also look at what we're asking our kids to do now, what we're being asked, the state is, the country is, and I don't see it as a bad thing. We've raised the bar, but I think it's something that as a country we needed to do. It's hard, and it's gonna take us longer to get there, but, when I hear people bash core standards, I don't agree with that. And you look at some of the research, and yes, it's more challenging, but we've got to meet those challenges. We've got to get our kids where they need to be, and it's a constant revision and tweaking what we do. If we're gonna spend our time just concentrating on drill and kill and testing that, we're not gonna succeed as a country. So that's something that I think we've been pushed in the right direction, and we've got to meet those challenges. So you're not going to get those top scores that we did 10 years ago because we're being asked to do more. And that's, what we look at every day and how we can better get there. So.
Do we have a large percentage of students that are signed out from taking the test?
Not a large percentage. It's not a lot, but it's increasing every year slightly,
Is it linked to cyber?
No.
There are
So we do have
students.
cyber kids coming in to take them in?
Oh, yeah, they come in, yeah.
No, it's just we have kids that, and it kind of spread because it was very popular in New York and New Jersey, and it spread to PA, particularly when PA got less stringent on the requirements to opt out. Pennsylvania used to be very, very strict, and they've loosened the requirements. It's crazy in New York. In New York, they had almost 1 million kids opt out of state exams last year. So now they've de-linked student performance and teacher evaluations because they hadn't had that for a few years. They de-linked it because so many kids were opting out.
Yeah.
And it's traditionally higher performing kids, not lower performing kids that opt out. So that just throws all your averages out the window.
So, but we don't have, other than the special needs, I realize how that's gonna affect it. But we don't have a big.
The example I gave, Diana, you can correct me, I think she had 3 kids last year in 5th grade that refused to take the test, and the group size was definitely less than 100. When you take 3 kids, that's more than 5%. That impacted her scores.
Yeah.
You know.
You had quite a few.
Last year I did.
Yeah.
Last year I did.
Yeah, it seems to grow. One year you have 1, then you have 3, then you have 9, and it goes in waves too.
Well, we have about 3 weeks left to find out what it'll be this year.
They used to pass it around on Facebook, what the letter should say. You know, and that's how it started on Long Island, and it was totally out of control, and then it spread into Jersey, into upstate New York, and then eventually it reached us too. So, but thankfully, it's not drastic. But I mean, there are many schools I know in other states that have more than 20% of their total population in their grade not take the test. 20%.
Yeah, it's
That
just a
throws
shame
away,
when you
that throws
have,
everything off.
it's a shame, especially with that 1%, like Murray was talking about, and our percentage is so much higher, so the percentage of, you know, and that you're being punished for that, especially when a child at their level is succeeding in that test. That's, you know,
And that
but it
test,
ruins the
you
overall
know,
scores.
that test is extremely rigorous. I mean, we have kids who are multiply disabled, intellectually disabled, and working on independence goals, bringing a spoon to their mouth, you know, doing things that are really important as a part of their functional living. And some of the things that they're asked to do on the test are, if we spend time teaching that thing, those things we would be taking away from really meaningful things, life things for these students. So it's really frustrating to sit there with some students and give the assessment that they feel is appropriate and those standards that they feel we should be working on. But those are IEP team decisions, and we work on things that the IEP team feels are necessary, but it's really frustrating to sit there and watch a student take a test that's not appropriate for them at all.
It's even more
when it's not
frustrating.
gonna count in the end anyway.
Or when they get their own results. You know what I mean? It's like setting them up for failure to a degree, you know, and then that kills your motivation for as a student. Good.
And that is a small amount. That test is very appropriate for many of our kids, but for some of them, it's just.
Yeah.
Okay, is there any other business from the board before I go?
Sure,
Last
yeah.
week, we talked about some kind of a letter from our board to the state regarding the cyber schools. And today, we got an email about something. There are 2 resolutions, resolution supporting Senate Bill 34 and House Bill 526 for school districts providing their own cyber learning programs. And there's another one, resolution supporting statewide cyber charter school funding reform. And rather than reinvent the wheel, maybe we should just look at this and look over it and see if it's something that we want to just support that way rather than trying to write our own letter. So, and it's just ironically from today.
And they're each just 1 page, they're nice and.
We can do that at the workshop. Where did those emails come into?
It came in today, it'll be in your mailbox from PSBA, and you gotta scroll down, it's at the bottom.
All right, so.
We can talk about it at the work session, and if you like them, or you wanna modify them, we can do that in the work session in April 11th, and then we can put them on the agenda for you to approve them on the April 25th meetings.
Okay.
Should we ask Julie to email them to everyone so we have an opportunity to look at them?
Yeah, I don't know if everybody's on the SBA's thing.
Yeah, but it's easier if it just gets an email from you.
Okay, is there
When
any
you know
other
what you're
bus-
looking at.
Any other business from,
And you've got it.
any other business from the board? All right, I got, really quick, again with the emails, if somebody in the public emails schoolboard@dvsd.org, it comes to my inbox as president. I have a responsibility to share that with all of you. I got one tonight. I didn't have time. I was in the conversation with 2 parents on a serious issue. We got an email that a parent disliked. All our buildings, we have inspirational quotations, banners, plaques, paintings. So it wasn't the inspirational quotation that the parent didn't like, it was the author that the parent didn't like, and that's very subjective. Basically, I'm gonna let John Bell, he requested that he speak to the building principal and let them sort it out. But if any of you want a copy of this thing, I have it and I can give it to you. It's just, I don't think it's something, it's very subjective. I don't think it's something the board should do. I think that's part of the administration and the faculty and principal of the school. It's been there a long time and nobody's questioned. I was looking at a message, not a messenger. This person was offended by the messenger. A lot of people to me say very profound stuff brilliant stuff, and I personally don't care for them. It's my-
I don't have a problem with John settling whatever it is, but I would like to be copied since you brought it up.
I just didn't have
To know
time
what
to
you're
do it
talking about.
tonight
Yeah,
because I got
okay,
it
tomorrow's
late.
fine.
You get it about 3 o'clock in the morning.
That's fine, I'll be awake.
So I just wanted to let you know that because I have an obligation to give you that. So tonight, we approved, Dr. Vives is retiring, so we approved. So congratulations to Mrs. McKinley for moving up into the cabinet position of the Director of Technology. I'd like to just, since we're on technology, tell the board that I gave Bill a little bit of a heart attack tonight. I'm a technology guy. I had a conversation with Dr. Vives. She didn't know I was gonna do this, and then I called Bill up and said, do we have an extra $100,000? You know, I didn't go over too well. But my own feeling towards technology is when we're swapping out equipment, technology doesn't stand still. So I just wanted to see what our leeway was with the budget, and I soon found out it wasn't much, but you know, all I can say to them is Windows 10. Right, that's all I have. Is there anything other from the board? So anything from the public? Yes?
A few questions. One specific one, on personal necessity leave, item number 336, I don't know if this applies to this, letter I, number,
Policy.
yeah, under policies. Does that include, or in any of these policies, is anything addressed on paternity leave? I'm just wondering, because I haven't seen it.
It would come under family medical leave. And we don't specifically state maternity leave either, but it just, family medical.
Okay, so that would fall under that then? Okay. And other thing, I know there's been talk about budget preliminary work, how has that been going at this point?
Swimmingly.
We're all trying to give Bill a separate heart attack.
Right now, what we're doing, we're at the stage where individual directors are doing their presentations to the board on their individual department budgets. The first look at the whole budget will be at the April 25th board meeting. We do a presentation on kind of salary and benefits, which is about 80% of the budget, and then we show the first version of the new budget. We used to show it at the May work session, and the board asked us to move it up a meeting so that they have more deliberation time. So last year we moved it from May work session to the April board meeting, so it gives them extra time to prepare before they have to vote at the May regular session. So April 25th is when you'll see the first view of the whole budget.
I'm sorry, what day is it, April?
April 25th.
25th.
If you want to come on the 27th, that's a Saturday, I'll leave the door open.
Well, I mean, has there been any, I'm sorry on this because I have not been I was not at the last workshop. Has there been anything done during workshops on budget? Just wondering.
Individual, we're just at the stage
Presentations.
presenting individual department budgets, not a compilation of anything yet.
Right, but that's going on.
It's building to a crescendo. We had some done, last week?
Yeah.
We had some directors present last week, that was the first taste of budget. And then at the April 11th work session, more people will present theirs, and then we put it all together on April 25th.
Okay.
We're not at the championship round yet.
Yeah.
Anything new on the ROTC?
I had the pleasure to meet Congressman Cartwright earlier this week. And he was in Milford, and I got a chance to have a small audience with him. And two things I talked to him about, it was predominantly about economic development in Pike County and with central sewer, water, things like that. But I took a chance to talk to him about protecting our impact aid and to see if there's anything that his office could do to help us with any of the branches of the military with JROTC. And one of his aides has some connections. So we have nothing official. The last thing, I don't know if you had heard, but the last thing, we were contacted by the Army.
Right.
Saying that there may be new programs. So now we've sent Cartwright's people off to see what they can do for us.
Rosa. Okay. Any other things from the public? Anything else from the public? Okay, announcements. April 11, 2019 work session, 7 p.m. right here at Delaware Valley Administration Offices. April 25th, 2019, regular board meeting, 7 PM, again here at the Delaware Valley Administration Offices. Thank you. That's the best news you've done so. May I have a motion to adjourn the meeting?
Motion.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.